Can you please tell us a bit about yourself and your company?
Hi, folks. I'm Eric Endlich, founder of Top College Consultants. I'm a psychologist and educational consultant working with students with learning differences worldwide. And I manage a team of folks around the US, and our students are all over. And we help students with various learning differences such as autism, ADHD, dyslexia, as well as mental health challenges through the college readiness, application, and transition process.
What advice would you have for students and their families about whether college is the right next step?
You know, there's lots of potential pathways after high school. College isn't the only pathway or the right pathway for all students, and it's important for students to figure out what's best for them. You know, if you go to a four-year college straight from high school, which certainly in lots of high schools, that's the norm, you're making a couple of big life changes at the same time. You are going from high school level academics to college level academics, and you're going from generally, living at home with your family, parents or guardians, to living away from home, both at the same time. So that's two big life changes. If you, let's say, go to a community college and continue living at home, then you're just making one of those shifts. You're shifting to college level academics, but you're not shifting your living situation. And for some students, that can be a better option. It also happens to be typically a much cheaper option than a four-year college. And then, if you happen to have a great job opportunity right out of high school, whether it's working for the family business or a business that you've started yourself and that's working out well, then go with that and save money. You can always go to college later on, especially if you're not sure what you want to do in college or why you want to go to college. And then there's students who have, a skill set that maybe they like working with their hands, and maybe working in a trade would be a better option for them. Maybe they're not really into going to class and really struggled with high school, so that 4 more years of school is not necessarily the best option for them. So,
what are some of the skills that parents should look for to assess their students' college readiness?
So if your child has already been away from home, let's say gone to a pre-college program on a college campus for a few weeks, and that went super well and it was a wonderful experience, or maybe they've gone to overnight camp or had other experiences away from home, or maybe you've left them at home. Maybe the parents have gone away for a weekend, left the child at home. Or if you feel like you could go away for a few days and your child would be just fine, would stay on track, would take care of themselves, then they might be ready for college. If you have concerns about any of those things, or they haven't had those sorts of independent experiences, then maybe they need to continue working on skills while they're in high school. We distinguish between being college capable and college ready. So if your child is taking challenging courses in high school, like the 8 honors courses, AP courses, IB, dual enrollment, accelerated, and they're getting good grades, A's and B's, and they're just kind of sailing along academically, then there's a good chance that they are college capable, that they can handle the rigor of college academics. But that's different from being college ready, from being ready to live away from home, live in a dorm, get along with the roommates, self-advocate with professors, make your own appointments, manage your time, get your homework done without your parents reminding you, get up and get ready for class without anybody waking you up. So those are sort of two different skill sets. And if you are currently, as a parent or guardian, really heavily involved in helping your kid succeed in high school, whether that's getting them up in the morning, doing their laundry, reminding them to get their homework done, making appointments for them, whatever it might be, advocating for them with school staff, then high school is the perfect time to start shifting those responsibilities onto your child in a gradual way. So let's say you make all of your appointments for your child, for the dentist or eye doctor or counselor, starting to sit down with your child and say, okay, here's how it's done. Here's the phone number, the website. Here's how I do it. I'm going to coach you through it while you do it. And then you're going to do it independently from now on. So if you can start to shift those things, get your kid to wake themselves up, go to bed on time, manage their hygiene, all that stuff, then there's a good chance that they will be ready.
Any advice for parents who feel their students may need some extra time to become college ready?
If they still need to work on those skills, they could take a gap year, they can go to college readiness programs over the summer. There's lots of ways to kind of build those skills. You can hire an executive function coach if they struggle with organization and time management. Lots of ways to build those skills, whether or not they're going to go to college, but especially if they're going to move out of the home and go to college.
How would you characterize the levels of support offered at various colleges?
I'm just going to kind of outline what I think of as 3 different levels to help kind of wrap your minds around this somewhat complex topic. So if you go to a college in the US, almost all colleges are going to provide disability accommodations under federal law. With very few exceptions, there is sort of a basic level of disability support that must be provided. And so if you go on a college tour while your kid's in high school and you ask, hey, my kid has ADHD or dyslexia, what kind of stuff can you do at this college for my kid? If you're asking that of admissions folks in the information session, which is not where I recommend asking those questions, but if you do, they're going to say something that will probably sound very encouraging, like, oh, we've got lots of kids with those diagnoses. We have this great disability services office, and they can get extra time on testing. They can get testing in a separate room. They can get professors' notes, and they'll run through these things, potentially. I'm not saying everyone's going to say the same thing. But it's important for you to know as a parent or guardian that is the basic level that every college will provide by federal law. That isn't some sort of special service unique to that college. What you want to see is, do they go above and beyond the minimum, which I think is sort of level 1. Then the next level would be an additional service. Maybe they have peer mentors, an upperclassman who will work with your student, or maybe they have academic coaches, similar to executive functioning coaches, which might be free or might be at a small charge to help your child be more organized and manage their time. Or maybe there's a neurodiversity club or an autism club or a disability club. So maybe there's 1 or 2 special services above and beyond what every college offers. And then beyond that, at sort of the highest level of service would be a comprehensive support program. And there's a number of colleges that have these programs, and I've listed them in our database, which I update regularly on the Top College Consultants website. That's topcollegeconsultants.com. You can see a database of over 200 colleges that you can sort by state, and you can see what the prices of these programs are. If you're wondering, well, where are the colleges that have some special programs, learning support programs, autism support programs? And those programs may have multiple components. So yeah, they may have academic coaching and peer mentors and priority registration and a special summer bridge program before your child starts college and other bells and whistles. Maybe there's social events or social skills workshops. So some colleges have these robust, comprehensive programs with multiple components. Those often, not always, but often have an additional cost of thousands of dollars above and beyond tuition. And so those are really important to know about. Now, separate from that, there happen to be a couple of colleges in the US that are exclusively for neurodivergent students with learning differences. There's only 2 of them, and those don't have like special programs. The supports are just sort of baked into the curriculum and the way the college operates. And then if your child falls in love with some other college that isn't on that list or isn't one of the ones I've described, doesn't have anything special, but they really do need more support, you can hire folks on your own. There are standalone support programs not affiliated with a college that you can hire and add on to the college to get the support that you need. Some of those are non-residential. The student would live at the college like any other student. And then there's a handful of these support programs that are residential. And in some ways, I think of that as like the highest level of service, because you're living at the program as the student, off campus, near the campus, maybe walking distance to the campus, but you're living at the program. So you have staff that you're living with who can help you with all sorts of challenges kind of around the clock. And those programs tend to be very expensive, but there may be public benefits available in your state to help pay for them.
Any advice for families starting to research potential colleges?
So, when you're making a college list, it is unique for every student. Every student's college list is different, and the process takes a while. That is one of the key things that we do with our students. We really spend time getting to know the students, their parents. I talk to professionals in the picture, maybe a therapist, maybe a school counselor or a teacher at school, to really understand the student's needs. I have questionnaires. I look at their documentation, whether it's their transcript, neuropsych evaluation, IEP or 504 plan at school, to really understand what kind of support do they need at college, what are they looking for. The factors that go into building the college list, they're the same factors as a neurotypical student who doesn't have a disability. How far from home is it? How much does it cost? Does it have the major I want? Does it have the sports or clubs that I'm interested in? Does it have kind of the culture, the vibe that I like? So lots of factors are the same as any other factor. And then there's that one additional piece that is kind of unique to this population, which is the support. I surveyed over 70 parents of neurodivergent students, asking them what are the resources in college that you feel are the most important. And the top three, more than half the parents cited all three of these: disability services, academic coaching, that's, again, like executive function coaching, and autism support program in the case of autistic students. So some sort of support program, some sort of coaching, and robust disability services. So that's where finding these colleges that go above and beyond comes in. We have that database on our website to help families find those programs, even if they're not going to hire us. I give this information for free. A lot of the families that I talk to don't want their kids very far from home. And then some of the kids I work with have very specific academic interests. Just this past year, for example, I had 2 students, not one, but 2, who want to be ornithologists. That's bird scientists. So some students have very specific things that they're focused on. So we're weighing all of these different factors in building the list. Does it have what you need to study? Does it have the right size classes? Does it have the support? And again, sometimes a student says, wow, there's this college that's perfect for me. It has what I want to study. It's not that far from home. It's not super expensive, but it doesn't have any special disability supports, in which case we might look for other programs or services outside the college to kind of meet their needs.
And once a student has created that initial list, what would you recommend next?
So there's a lot of ways to research colleges. In some ways, to me, the gold standard is an on-site, in-person tour. Going to colleges, boots on the ground. There's no substitute for sort of getting the feel of what it's like. Who are the kids who are going there? What's the kind of attitude of the staff and faculty who work there, et cetera. But that's just one way. You can do virtual tours. You can at least start on the website, learn through the website, or a virtual visit or campus tour through the website to see, is this even worth driving to or flying to make an in-person visit. You can go to college fairs, which allow you to look at many colleges in a short time. That might be an in-person fair, or it might be a virtual fair. We help students find those fairs. It could be college reps who are coming to your high school. So multiple ways to do that research and get to know colleges. Hopefully at some point it includes a tour somewhere along the way, but it doesn't have to be the first step.
Any tips for making the best use of your time while on campus?
When you're doing those tours, the standard tour, the sort of dog and pony show, is fine to get to know the campus in general. But if you want to understand the supports and the disability services, I strongly advise during the college search process, not after you've committed, but when you're exploring colleges, that you make a separate appointment with the disability services office and or the support program if they happen to have a support program. Sometimes those are run out of the same office, so it's basically the same staff or the same place. In other cases, the support program and the disability services are 2 separate things, so separate offices. And I have a list on our website, have a blog post that's, what questions should I ask Disability Services office? So there's 25 suggested questions. I'm not going to go through all of them, but go in with a list of questions. Know what it is you want to know. How are you going to figure out does this college meet my kids' needs in terms of support and accommodations? And some of that is sort of factual and quantitative. Do you have academic coaches? Do you have peer mentors? Do you have a support program? Some of those are very sort of black and white. Other ones are more qualitative. So I was talking to one of my students who's a senior who's deciding between the last 2 or 3 colleges, and he's been talking to Disability Services himself and really trying to get a feel for the sort of way they answer the questions. Not just do they have accommodations, because all colleges do, but is it kind of like, oh yeah, we really bend over backwards and go out of our way to meet your needs? Or is it like, this is what we have, take it or leave it. If it doesn't work for you, oh well, too bad. Kind of looking for that qualitative, attitudinal sense to get a sense of, is this a culture or a vibe that I'm going to feel comfortable with? And, if your child has very minimal support needs, if they just need extra time on tests, for example, you can pretty much get that at any college. But if they need, something a lot, more than that, then you want to be pretty discerning. So you want to do those visits and those meetings when you're exploring colleges. I manage a Facebook group. I co-manage a Facebook group of parents of neurodivergent college-bound students. At the moment, it's over 19,000 parents. By the time you hear this, it's probably going to be 20,000 parents. That is a great place for parents to learn from each other, to go on into the group and say, hey, does anybody have a kid who went to this college? Does anybody know what the disability services are like at this college? And get that sort of qualitative sense for how supportive are they really. And by the way, we've been talking about support services. Sometimes we make this distinction between a college that has support services and a supportive college. In other words, a college that is inclusive of students who are quirky or different or have high levels of support needs. You want to be somewhere where you're not going to be teased, bullied, marginalized, as many, many neurodivergent students have been when they were growing up. I'm neurodivergent myself, as are my own kids. So I know this firsthand. If you're different in any way, there's a good chance you've had a bad experience socially. So you want to be somewhere where it's a very warm, welcoming culture. And that is a separate question from whether they have a support program.
And then when applying, a lot of students want to know whether they should disclose their diagnosis.
Happy to do that, Matt. So this question comes up a lot, comes up over and over again, whether and how to disclose a diagnosis or a disability when you're applying to college. And it comes up often enough that I actually did a conference presentation. I have a link to the recording on our website. I'll try to give you the short answer. Like everything else, it depends. Ultimately, it is up to the student. There is no blanket answer of yes or no. It is the student's choice. I always empower my students to make these choices, just like it's their choice where they want to apply to college, whether I disagree or agree with them. So, and I think of sort of 2 different kinds of disability disclosures. If there's something in your high school record, in your transcript or your high school trajectory that is unusual, surprising, unexpected, confusing, that colleges are going to look at and say, what's going on here? Then it could be to your advantage to explain that. I should also say, across the board, there's no advantage or disadvantage to disclosing a disability. In other words, you don't get extra points for disclosing a disability. It doesn't open the door for you to get into college, and you don't get discriminated against. There's no evidence that you will automatically be rejected because you have a disability. Why would colleges have disability services offices if they weren't in admitting students with disabilities? But if there's something confusing or puzzling in your transcript, say your grades went up or down, you took time off during high school, you didn't take expected courses, like there's no foreign language on your transcript, something kind of unusual, that might bear explanation. And I've had lots of students do this, not in the essay, but in the little place in the Common App we call the additional information section, where they say, hey, I had a disability waiver for foreign languages. That's why I didn't take any foreign languages in high school. And by the way, I have a student right now who's a senior who got into a college, a flagship state university that says right on their website, you have to have 2 years of foreign language to get in. He had 0, but because he explained it on his application, he still got in. So it can be useful to explain things on the Common App as to why there's something sort of surprising or unusual in your transcript. And that can actually, again, sort of help you so that the college doesn't just look at your transcript and say, whoa, this is weird, we're not going to accept you. That's one category. Even if there's nothing out of the ordinary and you have, straight A's on your transcript, it looks fantastic. I have lots and lots of students I've worked with who feel that their neurodivergence or their disability is a central part of their identity. It is a key part of who they are. And the essay for the personal statement or the Common App essay is supposed to help colleges get to know you. Who are you? What makes you unique? Well, many of my students feel like, hey, if you want to get to know who I am, I've got to write about my autism or my disability in order for you to understand my story. So no reason to think that disclosing it is going to hurt you. It actually helps colleges understand you and understand your story.
Thanks to Dr. Eric Endlich and Top College Consultants. You can visit their website, topcollegeconsultants.com, and there are links to many of the resources mentioned today in the show notes. And remember to subscribe to Inclusive Academia.